What if I told you that your regular 9-to-5 job is good, but it's not good enough? In an age where we have a cost of living crisis, inflation is going rampant, everything's going up in price, you're going to need a lot more in your coffers than just what your 9-to-5 job is giving you. Gentlemen, ignore whatever the haters say. There is nothing wrong with having multiple sources of income. There's no shame in making money. It's very hard to make money. And if you can diversify and have multiple sources of income, you're well on your way to financial freedom. Now, the only problem is, how are you going to get there? And that is where planning, discipline, and starting a business comes in. Either you work with something that you already know, or you educate yourself to understand new things and new technologies, new ways of making money, and start to look at those to help advance your cause. It's all about education, kids. It's time to go back to school. Education is great, but it all revolves around one common theme: paying attention. You need to understand which direction you're going in, and that all comes from paying attention to your customer base, to the markets. Once you have that sense of direction, fly away, you're ready to go. When I started my first business, I wasn't quite savvy, I didn't know what was going on, I had my head up my backside more often than not, but I paid attention and I saw an opportunity in that moment. From there, I gained the direction to think, okay, I've got my first sale, that's great. Now how can I go about making more sales and making more money? Paying attention is key, and I will explain in this example of what happened with my first business and how that all started. Who's up for a story? This story goes back all the way to my university days, and I really needed a new pair of shoes at the time, but I was close to being flat out broke. Now, when I say I needed a new pair of shoes, I don't mean I wanted a new pair of shoes, I mean I really needed a new pair of shoes. Living in the UK as I do, we get a lot of snow, a lot of ice. My shoes were knackered, they were worn through. I thought, no more. I need to get myself an affordable pair of shoes that have good quality and can last for a long time. My budget was around £20, which is not a lot to go and afford a new pair of Nikes, Adidas shoes. I had to go look elsewhere. I had to look underground instead of looking at the top tier of retailer stores. So I found myself a good pair of shoes online for £20. You know, good quality, good build, solid structure, everything you'd want in a shoe. I go into class the next day wearing these shoes, and the girl sat next to me turns around to me and goes, "Oh, those are a nice pair of shoes. Where did you get those from?" Now, I couldn't remember the brand name. I couldn't remember the exact price of the shoes. So I just went online and typed in, high top shoe or something. And I saw the retail shoe prices going for around about £75 when I got them for £20. And that moment right there, something within my head just switched. So I turned around to her and I said, well, the shoes usually go for around about £75 from the retailer stores. She looked at me and went, oh no, that's way too pricey, I can't afford that. And I turned around to her at that point, and this was me thinking on the spot, by the way, because I paid attention, and I said, well, don't worry, I can sell them to you for £40. And she said, really? I said, yeah. She said, great, I'll take a pair, thank you. So from that one interaction alone, I'd made a £20 profit from shoes that cost me £20, but shoes that I sold for £40. Now, I knew people at university who had money and people who didn't have money, but they all shared a common interest in wanting to look better and feel better. So, of course, there was a market there for me to sell as many shoes as possible. I made a vow from that point onwards to try and flog as many of these as possible and generate as much money as possible. Now, you'd think the whole paying attention side of this would just revolve around that one interaction I had with that girl in class. No. It goes beyond that, and this is where the second half of the story gets really interesting. So business was going good. I mean, I had a few people that were buying directly from me and I was able to sell to them for a good profit. But unfortunately, some of the shoes from my supplier arrived damaged. And that was a huge blow to me because it was almost as if, okay, well, people are paying this much money. I'll have to lower my profit margin, or as a gesture of goodwill, if they demand lower than that, I may have to lose the profit margin altogether just to keep the customer. And absolutely honestly, it got to a point where I needed to have a word with the supplier because I was receiving too many poor quality shoes for my liking. As the guy that's trying to sell them, I can't be selling poor quality products. I need good quality products and I expect to get what I pay for. So I had a word with the supplier, and this is where things got really interesting. Because, again, as I mentioned, when you pay attention, opportunities rise up. When I received a poor pair of shoes and complained to the supplier, showed them the evidence, the supplier turned around to me and said, you can keep the shoes and we will offer you a full refund on the cost of the shoes and the shipping. Bingo. Now we're talking. And true to their word, they let me keep the shoes and offered me a full refund. So essentially, I got a new pair of shoes for nothing. Yes, they were poor quality, but still. I got a new pair of shoes for absolutely nothing. Selling these things were an absolute dream, because when it came round to flogging the poor shoes to the customer, they'd take a look at them and say, I was expecting a bit of better quality with these shoes. And I would turn around to them and I'd say, okay, well, I'm flexible to the price. I mean, if you don't want to pay £40, how much would you be willing to pay? And they'd say £20. I'd say, deal. I was still making a £20 profit on a pair of shoes that cost me absolutely nothing. It was a win-win all around. The customer got a new pair of shoes. I walked away with a £20 profit without spending a single penny. Everybody won. All of it was 100% legal. Over a 5-year degree, my team and I created a business that turned over £5,000 in revenue over those 5 years. £5,000 in revenue from an initial £20 investment. That just shows you why you have to pay attention, because the opportunities are there around you. You just need to be willing to observe them, willing to plan around them, and willing to build a journey with them. Gentlemen, I just want to leave you with this message. If you have an idea, if you have a dream, if you have a plan, please do not put it off. Do not wait. Start today. We only get 24 hours in a day, and we only get so many years in our lifetime. I know that it's hard work. I understand it's tough after you come home from working an 8-hour job and having to deal with a family life, having to deal with going to the gym, having to then come back and look at how to start a business. Believe me, I've been there. It's tough. But nothing worth having comes easy. So let's graft. Let's get to work. Let's make our families proud, and let's show the world exactly who we are, what we're made of, and why we're all destined to achieve nothing but success and greatness. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all real soon. Be sure to like and subscribe down below. Take care.